us shining our own light allows other women, especially younger people who are coming up, who don't have a voice, to recognize that it is okay to shine your light. And the brighter you shine, the brighter they can shine.
No one understands women better than women. We are emotion. It is our deep empathy that helps us to be great leaders, and that's part of inspiring someone else.
In leadership, you have to know who you are to be a good leader. You can't lead a tribe if you don't know who you are. You can't get them to see who they are if you don't know who you are.
Because it always begins with us. How we bring ourselves to everything is what's going on within us. And men don't know how to do that. Men have been brought up and closed off very young. But I can also say there are now a lot of men coming to the table who are now showing up and bringing their sacred feminine to the table.
It's such a wonderful time to realise that, to be in this time and space, to realise that we now hold the key, the opportunity, the ability to heal ourselves, to step into our own leadership and therefore healing the past and also healing the future. Hey everyone, it's Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive into today's discussion. You may have been watching our videos, but have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button. So if you have gained value from our conversations, from our channel, it would be so appreciated for us if you would hit that subscribe button below right now and even give us a like. What that means is not only does it allow us to grow our subscriber base, but it also allows us to bring in even more guests for you to listen to. And you will be one of the first ones to be notified. So please hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's wonderful panel discussion. Welcome to our Ignite Your Inner Power panel discussion. My name's Sophia. I have the beautiful, absolute honor of facilitating today's discussion on empowered women tackling stereotypes head on. A really interesting conversation. Now we explore stories of all our beautiful panelists who have gratefully come to share how they confront societal stereotypes and so much more, how we can reshape our narratives and break down those barriers. So my name's Sophia. I have the honor of being the co-creator of Sacred You, but with us today is some beautiful, absolutely incredible panelists from all over the world. And I just want to acknowledge everyone who's in the States where it is now after midnight. Thank you. So let's start. Denise, would you like to say hello and just tell us a very quick thing about you? What interests you in today's panel?
Hi, I'm Denise, and I suppose I'm a way shower, a truth seeker. I work along the lines of shamanism, and I help people see the truth of themselves and teach them how to do that, or guide them, I think, more, because as I take them through the process of life, their life, it uncovers them. So I teach them how to show them the way to uncover themselves. What brought me to this is that having women in leadership and empowering women to leadership is empowering ourselves, because we're not going to get to leadership unless we empower ourselves first.
Absolutely.
And that's the most important thing. Yeah.
It's all about empowering ourselves. So thank you very, very much.
Mm.
Tywanah, thank you for joining us. And again, would you like to say hello and let us know a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely, Sophia. Hello, everyone. My name is Tywanah Evette. I am a high priestess, a spiritual strategist, a trauma recovery facilitator, and women's advocate. And what interests me in igniting your power is I teach women how to boldly, bravely, unapologetically step into their power. So it's only natural to be here for this discussion and I'm just giddy with excitement over today's discussion.
Thank you. So we are honoured to have you here. So thank you. Lesley, tell us about your beautiful self and what interests you in today's topic.
Thank you. So I help soul-led women who feel torn between the life they've built and the one that they truly want because they haven't voiced who they are. And women for so long throughout the world haven't been able to use their voice and to really speak their truth. So this is a chance for us to really talk what's important, because I do believe that in this evolving world, women are the leaders that are coming up because of their own sensibilities, whether it's empathy or whether they're intuitive or whether it's just time for them to fully express who they are.
Thank you so much for sharing it, and I totally agree with you. Now is the time for women to step into their power. Sheila, would you like to say hello? And I'd love to know what brought you to today's conversation.
Thanks, everyone. Hi, Sophia. I'm Sheila Marina, and I help people to release trapped emotions. And this is especially true for women because we tend to keep things buried deep inside and just keep going. It's okay, I'll just keep going. And years later, women especially are finding themselves in physical pain, emotional pain, and not really sure exactly what it is. And so that's one of the key things that I love to do is uncover exactly the trapped emotions that women are being held down by these days so that they can rise above. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. And again, I'd just like to honour everyone who is here today for our panel discussion. So let's get going. I've got some wonderful questions to encourage this great conversation, and I'd love to start off with Denise. If you could share, for you, what are some of the most common stereotypes that you've encountered as a woman in your field, and how did you respond to them?
Oh, that's a loaded question, isn't it? It's a big, really, it's really broad. But I feel where I've come to and seeing where I've come from is that the stereotype of who I was to now has always been the navigation of through what I've learnt. So we're always taught all the way through our life, and we're imparted with all these things or ingrained with all these things that tell us this is the way we should be, this is the way we should think, this is who you are, this isn't who you are. So we actually get filled with all these beliefs that aren't really mine. But I decide to carry them and go, that's who I am. But as leading into myself and growing into myself, I recognize that those aren't me. Those things that people say about me aren't me. I actually made a quote to myself yesterday, is my worthiness, don't look for my worthiness in other people's eyes. Look for my worthiness in my own eyes, because that's the most powerful thing I can do for myself.
Yeah.
So it's that uncovering, and as I go along and learn more, it's about how I have to really become responsible for my own thinking, my own way of being. And that's taken a lot. There's all that releasing of those emotions, because they are core emotions that I've grown up with.
Yes.
They're those beliefs that I've come along with. And so I've been leading myself in a sense, but I've also used others' wisdom, others' knowledge along the way, because that, and I grab onto some and I don't grab onto others. So I really come back home and work with the intuition. And we don't know that because we've been never given that information. So the stereotype is that what's been dictated to me all my life is really not quite what it is, because that's the outside world telling me how I should be. And it's such a big, broad question. Yeah.
It is such a big broad question,
Mm.
and I acknowledge it, and thank you for answering it in that way, which is really good. And I love it, how we can look for our worthiness in our own eyes, not outside, not in other people's eyes, because that happens so much. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
And Tywanah, do you have anything to add to that? And I'd love to know also, in the most efficient way, if I can ask, in today's world, from your experience, in what ways does society still resist female empowerment? And how can we overcome that?
Society, especially here in the States, patriarchal society wants to keep us under that glass ceiling. A lot of us are out here suffering from imposter syndrome, to piggyback on what Denise said, where we behave this way at our jobs because we don't want to lose our jobs. We behave this way at home because we have to be around the kids or whomever. And we never truly look, it takes us until we're in our 40s or 50s when the children leave or whatever your case is. But it's usually when you're older, when you look in the mirror one day and you say, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
And it's because society has placed all of these demands and things on us. We were never truly able to explore our own likes, dislikes, hobbies, interests, whatever the case may be, for the sake of taking on someone else's. So in the patriarchal society, it's a little bit more difficult, but there's a rising happening with women, I'm noticing, and it's powerful. It is powerful. I'm watching women come together and rise up from the stereotypes, rise up from the names, the expectations is what I'm trying to say. Be they religious or familial or societal. So I think we're already doing it. We are already saying, no, we're not going to be just in this box anymore. We are going to come out and shine and be our beautiful selves.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And yes, it is time to come out and shine and be our beautiful selves, no matter where you are. So thank you so very much. Lesley, let's bring you into the conversation. And I'd love to know from your point of view, or your experience, how can women balance being authentic with the pressures of professional leadership?
That's a great question. I would add to what both of the speakers said before to start with, especially Tawana, in the societies that we have lived in, the model and the make, especially in the corporate world, it is the patriarchal society that wants control over, and it's not the way women work in this world. They're not looking to have control over someone else or over the masses. Women are those who want the power to inspire someone else and to give someone else a chance to really shine in their own right and in their own being. I also think it's important that the communities that Tywanah was talking about, I also see that historically or hysterically, either way, women have gathered, sometimes hysterically, because it's, I've got this going on. I've got so much energy. I'm so emotional. No one understands women better than women. We are emotion. It is our deep empathy that helps us to be great leaders, and that's part of inspiring someone else. So I see that as more communities of like-minded women are gathering together, especially a group like this, soul-led women entrepreneurs, blazing the way to a different way of life, and they are doing it with the support of other women, and that's what I think is really important. And that's not to put down the males in our society. It is just, if I reflect back on my own journey, those male coaches that I started off in business wanted the tried and true, and here we go, you do it my way, which really didn't fit. And that's where that is, Denise was saying, you can't find your voice in that. You're not going to speak up and you're not going to put forth.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
hopefully I could answer what you asked, because I went away there.
That's okay. It's okay. It's a wonderful answer, and thank you. And again, I totally agree. I think we all agree. It's all about finding our voice, and the traditional patriarchal ways isn't working anymore. So now is the time for women to have their voice. Thank you, Lesley. Sheila, what about you? I'd love to know from your experience, what are the benefits of having women in leadership?
That's an excellent question. Thank you very much, Sophia. Having women in leadership, I think, as each of us in the room know, has excellent qualities, not just for the woman as a leader, but for the people that the woman is leading. Because the other panelists were talking about the patriarchal society, do it my way, this is how we're going to move forward. It doesn't work for everyone. And I think when there's a woman in charge, or a woman who is leading the way, typically, not always the case, but typically that a woman will have more ability to have compassion for what's going on in a particular setting or a particular group, where some of the people in the group may need some extra care or some extra attention. And typically that doesn't happen in a patriarchal society. It's typically my way or the highway, without any real kind of care or thoughts for what's actually going on at the moment with the person. So I think actually having a woman or women in leadership opens the doors for many people to be able to express themselves, not only clearly, but also with compassion. I think it's very helpful.
Yes, it is. Again, we agree. So thank you so much, because compassion is, as you said, such needed quality in today's world, and women have it naturally. You know, we are compassionate beings, just very naturally. So thank you, Sheila, for answering that. And Denise, let's go back to you. We're talking about stereotypes here. So how can men, let's bring men into the conversation. How can men, in your opinion, in your experience, how can men be active allies in dismantling the gender stereotypes?
Oh, beautiful question. For me, and my husband and I, we have beautiful conversations, and it's about undoing that real, like I said, we have blocks within ourselves that hold us in places that has been brought from childhood, to say I'm not good enough, or I'm offended because that's a narrative that happened when I was young. So it's really talking and bringing those to the table. Am I coming from a place of wound, or am I coming a place from truth? And it's such a beautiful opening, because then it allows us each to see where we are. And that should be with every conversation, with every person you come in contact with. Because especially when you're in the business world, you don't know what sort of day they're having. Having that general conversation of where am I at today, and actually going, look, I can see where I can feel that this is going on within you. Do you want to talk about that before we discuss moving into the business side of things? Because it always begins with us. How we bring ourselves to everything is what's going on within us. And men don't know how to do that. Men have been brought up and closed off very young. But I can also say there are now a lot of men coming to the table who are now showing up and bringing their sacred feminine to the table. They're not just bringing feminine, which is the submissive, because there's two sides of feminine. There's the sacred and the submissive. They're bringing the sacred, like we're bringing the sacred feminine, where we're beautiful human beings. We're open to seeing. Where the feminine, we're stuck in the patriarchal system of being submissive. So when we bring the sacred in, we're opening to who we are. And men are doing that as well, because they're told to be the bloke. They're told to be the hard masculine. And the sacred feminine has masculine within her. So they're bringing that gentle, soft, but knowing side of themselves through, which I think is so beautiful. So it's about seeing themselves. I'm all about seeing ourselves and seeing where I've come from to where I am now, and looking at where I've come from and the wound at that point, because I'm playing that out today.
Yes.
And I've got to go into the dark to find the light, because the light is in the dark.
Yes.
That's where I've got to take the questions all the time.
Yes.
So yeah, men just to really see themselves like women are seeing themselves. They're the women, these leaders are coming up as sacred feminine.
I love
And
that.
that's what men are doing as well, and need to see themselves doing.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for explaining that, and the difference between just the feminine, or as you said, the submissive feminine, and the sacred feminine. I love that explanation. Thank you very much for sharing that. And Tawana, you live a very spiritual life.
Yes.
From your experience, what role does spiritual growth, or even self-awareness, being aware of the sacred feminine, being aware of who we are, play in leadership empowerment?
I have found that in my experience, my personal experience, once I healed myself spiritually, there was a connection that happened with my body, and I healed myself emotionally. And it was because I was hiding who I've been my whole life. And that comes into play with healing the sacred feminine, because you have to get back in touch with her, right? You lose her. You're working, you're doing man things pretty much. We're not designed to do all the time. And even I have to be reminded sometimes, but by Sophia, by my best friend, to just be. That's where that sacred feminine is, in just being. We're not doing anything. We don't have to. Sometimes we just need to be. But yes, claiming my spirituality, being bold and brave about my spirituality, not hiding who I am, psychic medium, high priestess, not hiding any of that. As I have leaked out little pieces of that little by little, it's chipped away at that last bit of maybe hiding imposter, the shame, the what ifs, right? What if someone judges me because I'm a high priestess? What if someone judges me because I'm a psychic medium? So in leadership, you have to know who you are to be a good leader. You can't lead a tribe if you don't know who you are. You can't get them to see who they are if you don't know who you are. Spirituality has played a huge role on my healing journey. And without it, without my ancestors, without my guides, I would not be before you today. So it's a huge role that it plays in life.
Thank you so much. I'm just writing that down. I love it. How can you lead if you do not know who you are?
Yes.
Thank you ever so much for that. I think that's going to become my new motto. Thank you. And Lesley, for you in your journey, what beliefs, internalized beliefs, or subconscious beliefs that you've had to unlearn in your leadership journey?
Oh, I think the belief that I learned in my own is a common one. Again, I go back to the voice. How many of us, because of eh, the shame, the who do you think you are kind of phrase, stops us from speaking out, stops us from saying, yes, I am the psychic medium, I am the shaman, I am in soul-led somatic work to find out who I am, and all of that comes together to help you who you are. But on the physical plane, what's happened to women is that so many have thyroid disease, and that's all about speaking out. And just as Tywanah said, that when you start to really tap into your, not only just who you are, but deeper, and make that connection to your body and start speaking to your body and telling your body, whether it's your thyroid, whether it's your heart that you've protected for years, and make peace within you and say, it's okay. It's safe to come out. It's safe to be who you are. We're okay. We have weathered so far and we can continue. And the lineage of who we are, the ancestor lineage, is important because it does play a big role in either what you learned in your own childhood, but what was taught through many years through that female lineage that comes forth. If you've never read the book Women Who Run with Wolves, it's great. And that is a recommendation that I just finished in a book club about a month ago. We read it out loud. That's how much we decided that reading the stories and going through parts of it helped to understand our own journey, where we are, and what really came about. Because it's only until the last maybe 5 years or so, maybe more than that now, that there are female doctors who are studying the female body. Everything before that is based on a male model. We aren't males. And in fact, they did a study where the production of a male and a female in a month is the same, but how they get there is not the same. Women have ups and down cycles. There are times where we're all very creative and we're ready to go out and we're ready to just do that. And then there are times we need to contract and just rest and just, again, as the other panelist says, you just have to come back to self and be for a while. And then you're ready to go again.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Totally agree with you, Lesley, and especially about the book Women Who Run with the Wolves. For anyone out there who is watching, if you haven't read that, do go get yourself a copy. fantastic, extremely powerful. So thank you for sharing those. And it's also, and as everyone said, it's all about also balancing that, but coming back into the being is most important. Thank you. Sheila, I'd love to go a little bit about your journey too, and especially your work, because you help others release trapped emotions. But how can emotional healing empower women to challenge internalized stereotypes and show up fully?
Thank you so much for that question, because as women, I think really as humans, we tend to internalize quite a bit. And women especially will just, as I was saying before, just keep everything down and push everything deeper without even recognizing it. And I think it depends. It oftentimes how a young girl is treated when she was a young girl. And so often we were taught to play with our dolls, or the things that we were taught in school, especially especially 50 years ago. They're teaching women how to be good housewives, and instead of how to be good at serving everyone else. And we weren't really learned how to serve ourselves. So some of the really helpful things that I think with women who have some very deep emotions is to be able to connect internally by releasing the messages that were given to them as often as young girls, and be able to recognize their power. Personally speaking, I make up little songs, and just a few lines of a song is enough to make the shift in the vibratory patterns of the cells so that they can respond in ways that we can become more open and receptive, deciding what it is that we allow in. Because I think nowadays, in these last years, we are aware that we can choose what we allow to go inside of us, and we don't have to accept those messages that have been given to us over the years as women. Play with dolls, wear pink, serve your husband, serve your children, keep your house in immaculate, and always be pristine everywhere you go. I think we're allowed to be our messy, emotional selves while still showing up in a role that will be able to encompass all of the facets of what it is that we need to do in life. And I think as we clear out our own emotional issues or baggage, and then be able to rise above it, then we become an example to others. So that us shining our own light allows other women, especially younger people who are coming up, who don't have a voice, to recognize that it is okay to shine your light. And the brighter you shine, you hand it off to somebody else, the brighter they can shine. So I think as we clear out of our own personal emotions, it allows the door to be open for other women to do the same thing.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that. And as you said, it wasn't that long ago where there was the traditional stereotype and women did stay at home and look after everyone else. Now is the time that we can take back our powers. Thank you for sharing that. And Denise, you're also a healer, as is everyone, especially helping people with their emotions. But how would you say that emotional healing can really empower women to challenge those internalized stereotypes?
Oh, it's everything. Reaching the emotions that are dictating your narrative today is everything to healing that, and going back and going and seeing where that's come from. I always work from the perspective of, I can always see the age of the child, the person that I'm working with, and asking the story about what's happening at that age that's how they're feeling today, where did that first turn up in your life? Who spoke to you that way? Who made you feel that way? Because the thing about emotions, we hold on to emotions because we've never had the opportunity to express that emotion at the time of the wound. So going and finding what that emotion here I'm feeling is actually going and asking myself, okay, where's that come from? When can the last time I remember, how old was I? Was it from mum, or was it from dad, or was it from school? Wherever it happened for you, but the earlier space you can go back to will be the core of it. Because what we do is we keep replaying that narrative. And so what the universe does is go, hey, because you never had the opportunity to feel that, this is happening again today. This happened again yesterday. It's going to keep knocking on the door until I go, okay, there's something really here. Why am I angry? Why do I get angry at this? Why do I react to that? Why do I get really hurt when someone says this to me or rejects me? Why do I feel rejected all the time? Because that's how I'm feeling internal. Those are all my emotions. So that's what I'm inviting in. So it's about me going back to the core. And it's not looking at the event, because some of them can be so terrible. But it's actually not about the event. It's about the emotions I never had the opportunity to express that I've got to look at and hold myself in such love and compassion and be really honest and true with myself. How did I really feel? What was it? Or did I feel trapped? Did I feel not enough? So I've carried all that my whole life, because that's where I decided to put the wall up and own that, because I didn't know how. I never had the opportunity, because I've either been squashed down, not allowed to speak, whatever it was that stopped me really fully playing out that emotion. So it's allowing ourselves that, because it is a gift to ourselves. It's a gift of really seeing ourselves. That's leadership of ourselves.
Yes.
That's really moving into leading and being the leader of ourselves.
Yeah.
I hope I explained that okay.
Thank you. And it's true. And it's giving ourselves that gift.
Yeah.
Only as stepping into that role of who we are.
Yeah, because the narrative is really about, we're told that it's not about you, but it is about me.
Yes.
I'm the most important being on this universe, just as you all are the most important beings on this universe. And I have the universe to back me with that, because it keeps nudging me to remind me, for me to bring the stuff forward and to really feel those emotions. And the most beautiful thing is when I do that, I show my children how to do that just by doing it. And it lightens their load, because like ancestral comes forward. So when I lighten my load, my kids' load will lighten. But whatever they've decided to hold on to, that's now their journey. And then when they do that journey, they lighten the load for their children. We are leaders in changing the world. I am important. You are important. It's very exciting.
It is, isn't it? It's such a wonderful time to realize that, to be in this time and space, to realize that we now hold the key. I guess we have the opportunity, the ability to heal ourselves, to step into our own leadership, and therefore healing the past and also healing the future and helping future generations. So as you said, this is a very exciting time. Thank you ever so much. And Tywanah, you're more than welcome to add anything if you like about how we can break those stereotype conditions, thoughts, beliefs. But also with you, I'd love to know if I can ask you a personal question. Is how have you been able to embrace your emotional and spiritual truth? How has that challenged the stereotype that often silences female leaders in your experience?
in my experience, it has definitely shaped my entire reality. To piggyback off what Denise said, and it's funny because we discussed ancestral ties and things tonight in the Psychic Essence Collective, but my experience is I healed and now I'm watching my children heal, and they don't know why. They don't know why I took that step and said, you know what, I'm going to be my true authentic self. And my daughter says, that's all I ever wanted for you, Mom. And we were in separation for 2 years. So I healed. My children are healing. My grandchildren won't have these things, these heavy ancestral and generational things that are handed down in our DNA and our bloodline to heal from. Me embracing myself totally and completely, it has been a definite long road. I suffered great trauma as a young woman, and my ancestors made it so that I was alone during my spiritual awakening. So my journey is especially powerful because I did it alone. I didn't have anyone to call in those bathtub moments where you're rocking back and forth. I had no one to depend on. The divine either removed people or I had to remove people. But I had to do it alone. So I know how to do it. And I know how to teach others how to do it. And I'm guiding my children on how to heal and things like that. And I love what you said, Denise. You were so right. But I broke that ancestral tie. There is no more. It ended with me. That was it. And I become especially proud of myself, and it makes me emotional sometimes. One of my clients this morning made mention of old me. And I said, once you heal, you are so far detached from the emotions and the feelings and the thoughts that you used to have that you actually begin to have sympathy for that old version of yourself that had to exist. And she couldn't understand it, but it's true. I remember the life events, but I don't feel them anymore. They're not me. They're not part of me. They're a story, but I got to rewrite mine. And so now I share the story that I created with who I actually am and not who everyone expected me to be.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing the power. I can feel the power of that. So thank you. Just like to honor
Thank
you.
you.
Of course, honor everyone else who's been here, who is with us today. So Lesley, let's go to you again. And with your work that you support women in aligning their business with their spiritual purpose as well. But how does honoring both ambition and intuition challenge the traditional, the often masculine definitions of leadership and success?
Great question. In a simplified word, integrity, but in a very deep, complex word, integrity. When we stand in our own integrity, and that's fully embracing who we are, and we're letting go of the story that was talked about, that we heal what's there, we do find that we don't have that emotional pull back and forth because you know who you are. So when you're standing in your own shoes, I don't know brand names, but maybe they're your ruby red slippers, right? and they shine, the rest of you shines as well. And you're not then pulled one way or the other in the work that you choose to do. And many women, through my work and everybody here on this panel's amazing work, mostly rebuild from the inside out, but they also make that choice. Do I stay where I am, whether it's still in that same business, or do I switch within that business being a corporation? Maybe it's a different job, or maybe it's totally different. And there's so many that are totally going, no, I've always wanted to open a bakery. I've always wanted to be a healer. I've always wanted to be a truck driver. It doesn't matter what you want as long as you're following that passion, because that's what lights you up. That's when you know that you're in your own integrity and that you're a no to things that no longer serve you, and you're a yes to your passion and the fire that drives your life. And that passion and fire that drives your life is giving back to everyone in a greater way than it was when you had yourself in this little box of who you thought you were supposed to be and what you thought you were supposed to do. To please others mostly, but yes.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much. And I can just imagine starting a movement of all these empowered women wearing their ruby red slippers. So thank you so much, Lesley. It's a wonderful vision. And Sheila, before we wrap up, I'd love to know from you, because you guide others towards experiencing ease and grace, which we all need in our world. So in a world that often expects women to lead through struggle and sacrifice in general, how do you redefine what empowered leadership looks like through your healing approach?
Thanks for that question. What helps women to feel empowered, at least through the work that I do, is them, again, being trapped where they were, like Lesley was saying, in that little box. And just to piggyback onto that, that women do not have to fall into the typical role of teacher or some of the things that women typically were designed or meant according to our society to be able to show up. And those ruby red slippers, for about 15 years, I traded them in for construction boots, because my favorite thing is landscaping, and that's where my integrity, working with the earth. And as a woman, being in charge of some pretty big projects in some affluent neighborhoods, people would be walking by and they'd say, oh, where's the leader? Who's in charge of this project? And I'd say, oh, it's me. And they look behind me. Oh, no, I see there's a pickup truck in the driveway. Who is that? And I said, oh, no, that's me. And some people really couldn't come to terms with it, that it was actually a woman who was in that leadership role. And so specifically, getting a little bit off of a kind of my business as a personal issue, it was really apparent to me that women can't do everything that, or at least they're not perceived to be able to do everything that men do. And I think the more that we can have women show up in these kinds of roles and excel in those roles, I think we can really see some huge improvement. And from my own personal practice, when women are coming in, so I gave that kind of construction landscaping and turned it into energy healing. I do a lot of one-on-one work now, and how women perception of themselves, their own emotions that are locked inside of themselves, keep them trapped in that box. And so that as they can see their vast abilities, they are able then to shine, to be able to move forward, to wear those ruby slippers and show up as magnificent everywhere they go.
Love it. Again, another wonderful visual. I can just imagine you in your construction boots holding your ruby red slippers. So thank you so very much. Thank you everyone for joining us in this wonderful panel. I'd just like to take a moment just to honor you, to really honor you all for joining us. And for everyone who is watching us, do yourself a favor, click on the links below and reach out to these wonderful women who have just taken up an hour of their time to share their passion and their wisdom. And before we leave, I'd love to go around just once more, starting with Denise again. Do you have anything else that you would like to share about how we can empower ourselves and tackle the stereotypes that we've all been talking about? Any other wisdom that you would like to share? And also, do you have any offers that you would like to give with everyone who is watching us? You're muted, Denise.
Thank you so much. And I've got so much out of every one of you ladies. It's just been lovely to join you. For me, I think it's just, this is a journey. It's not a quick fix. It's not telling someone to do something, but it's a journey of seeing what the resistance is of myself to actually find the discomfort. The discomfort is the resistance. When I'm uncomfortable, I'm resisting something. So it's about what's the emotion that I'm feeling there right now. To really follow that thread. Follow the thread of what you're feeling. Follow the thread of, because when you start in this and you want to be empowering and you want to share your stuff, whatever it is in business, it's scary. So what that brings up is all our discomfort of, no, you're not good enough. No, you're unworthy. All those things we go into because I have to clear them to therefore be able to navigate a different story, navigate my true story, walk into my authenticity. So love yourself. Hold yourself in so much love and truth and compassion. This is where the magic happens for you, because it doesn't matter if it's really bad. No one else is going to hold you. It's you who needs to hold yourself in love, truth, and compassion. Because when you do that, you're not relying on anything else to do it for you. You're taking the your full being and working with you, because you have all the answers. You can do what all these ladies here are doing. You just have forgotten. And all these beautiful ladies here are here to show you, to bring that remembrance back. And I just love talking about this. I love helping people move through this. Just go on, email me, do whatever. If you want to chat, I'm happy to chat. Just contact me.
Thank you.
And I'm willing to talk for however long it takes, because you are the most important being on this earth.
Thank you ever so much.
And another thing I'd
Yeah.
love to say, I can't change the world, but if I change myself, the world changes around me, and then that expands. As Tywanah said about her children, she changed.
Yes.
But her children, and then next generation. It's just beautiful.
Thank you
for
so
having me.
much, Denise. I felt that went right into my heart, so thank you. And Tywanah, what about you? Would you like to share any last words of wisdom and any offers that you may have before we wrap up?
Ladies, it is worth it to heal. Yes, I will never lie to you. There is pain. But I did a quick live in my community yesterday morning because I went for a walk, but I had walked 5 miles the day before. And initially I decided I was going to stay at home. But as I was walking, got the download. That pain was not an indication that I needed more rest. That pain was the indication I was doing something right for my body. Me staying at home wouldn't have been honoring my body. So it's worth it to heal. It's worth it to dig in deep, click your heels, dig them in, put your red slippers on and keep it moving. And there are so many of us out here just waiting to embrace and love on you. Today, my gift is the Inner Power Awakening Kit, and that includes journal affirmations and a meditation that I've done, the Ancestors Altar ebook, the Inner Vision Out of Clarity ebook, which defines the clairs, and the Healing Generational Trauma ebook. All of that is included in that package.
Thank you so much. And we will be putting all that in the comments. So thank you again, Tywanah. And I'm glad that you listened and went out for that walk and walked through the pain. There's so much benefit. Thank you. Lesley, what about you? Any last words of wisdom and any offers for the community?
I think the greatest thing that we can do as women that we often don't do, myself included, is reach out to others. Going back into that female community, one of the best things to do, especially when you're in a business organization, is almost like having talking stick, maybe a talking pen, and giving just moment to talk before, and Denise talked about that, and it works in business as well. Talking before you really get into the real issue helps you to see where people are coming from. So those are the last words of wisdoms. It's always good to gather around a fire or something else as well. And just being in community, having a place to voice what you think. My offer is in small bite. I do a small shamanic bite, but it is like how to ignite what is inside of you. And it's just the beginning of something. So perhaps you're feeling like, I don't know where to start. I'm so overwhelmed. This is always a good place to start with just a small bite, and then you can move forward.
Thank you ever so much, Lesley, for offering that, for sharing. And Sheila, before we wrap up, and then I want to come back to our guest who has a question, do you have any last words of wisdom and anything that you would like to offer?
Thanks. I think, like everyone else here, it's really so important to be able to identify with yourself, because once you change, the whole world changes. And I think that as more and more women are coming together in places like this, it radiates out to other women. And Sophia, you've done such a wonderful job of bringing us together on a regular basis to be able to share what it is that we're doing and to be able to learn from each other. The more we come together, the happier we'll be. It's just the same thing that we learned when we were small. And then as for my offer, I do have, one of the things I work with is something called the emotion code, which has 60 trapped emotions. And I have 60 guided meditations on my website and on the various social media platforms. And that is the offer that I have, is that for people to be able to empower themselves. Those are my kind of my free gifts that people can take advantage of so that they can help themselves, so that once their light is shining, it'll radiate out to shine on for others. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Sheila. It is, I said, it is an honour, and thank you for offering all that. And I've been the recipient, or I've also done some work with the emotion code, and it's very healing, as with all the other modalities that all these amazing women have had. And I'd like to just again acknowledge everyone and reiterate that for me, it's like empowered women empower women. So now is the time that we can step into our power and get back in touch with that sacred feminine, divine feminine within, and be who we're meant to be. So thank you. Before we wrap up, I'd just like to acknowledge Diana, who's with us in the audience. And Diana, you're most welcome to come on camera if you like. And Diana asked, how do I handle working with women that will not listen to my ideas or suggestions, even when it would be a great benefit financially for my corporation? And thank you, Denise, that you replied. Any quick words of wisdom for our beautiful Diana who's joined us? Anyone have any words of wisdom?
As her best friend, I'm just going to say, be the same person that you are to the rest of the world. And don't shy back just because they have titles or pay grades or whatever. Start commanding that respect that you so deeply deserve instead of stepping back and just taking it because you deserve it.
Thank you.
Yes, Diana does deserve it, and we all deserve it. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything before we say farewell? Sheila, yes, please.
I think Lesley was going to say something.
You go right ahead.
Oh, okay. Just when you find that people are not listening to you, no matter what it is, then you just keep seeming to be railroaded over and over again. It can give a lot of blocks for women to want to move forward. And so my word of the year last year was persist. So I'd like to pass on that word, that it may seem like people aren't listening. And I think that persistence, patient persistence, people eventually are going to listen. They have to. It's your corporation. They have to listen to you. And so I think the same with all of us, as we just continue to shine our light, people will begin to see. So if Diana, if people aren't listening, just continue to persist. Tywanah was saying, don't shroud that light, to just keep growing and keep glowing. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Lesley, did you want to say anything quickly?
Now, I would quickly add that it's not always about you, the person who's trying to speak. It's a lot of times about them. Are they able to hear what you have to say? And yes, be persistent, be who you are, but sometimes change what you're saying just a little bit in a different way. People then try or will open up a little bit more. So when we come at it differently and we're not coming head on, that we're allowing them to have their own voice and say, and then you're switching your ideas into what they're saying, then it's like that, oh, number one, they hear me as to what I've been saying. And number two, wow, they got a point that really makes a lot of sense. So it's just a different way of putting it out there.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much for that. And Denise, I know you've answered.
And these ladies have covered it so beautifully. But I'd also like to add is that it's bringing them on board with your ideas in the way of, oh, what do you think? Or can I tweak? Do you think it needs tweaking? Asking those real questions to really have them come in and own that as well. because you'll be amazed what such great ideas your people have as well, who are working for you.
Thank you ever so much.
Mm.
And may I say that I think once again, it is an absolute honour to be with all you amazing women here today and tonight. And again, I'd like to acknowledge that it's now 1 o'clock in the morning for Tywanah, Sheila and Lesley. So I'm really grateful that you've taken the time to join us. For everyone who is watching, click on the links below and connect with these amazing women. And while you're there, come and check out sacredyou.love. We hold all these panels quite often and so much more. You can join us for free. It's sacredyou.love/join free. And not only do you get to witness and be part of these panels, you get to see and be part of all our special interest tribes, including the amazing Psychic Essence Collective with our beautiful black butterfly goddess. Tywanah, do you want to say a very quick word about your tribe?
Absolutely. We cover all things psychic. So we started with the basics of protection, and we are deep into the bowels of ancestral clearing and cord cutting and things like that now. We've gone through tarot, oracle, pendulums, not to say that we won't revisit them at a different time, but we have a great time. We're a bunch of really wonderful ladies. I've got an amazing, loyal collective, and we would love to have you.
Thank you. Yes, and if you come and join Tywanah's tribe, plus all of our other tribes, a whole range of them, which I'm not going to go into now, because you can check it out on our website, Sacred You, that's the letter U, .love, and then /join free. Come and join our village where we've got so much happening, and there's lots of great things on the plan too. Thank you everyone for joining us today and tonight. Like I said, it has been a real honour, and I do look forward to seeing you again next time. Thank you.